you want to get better at sales, then take this short exercise when you're ready. So this is trade exhibition. Imagine yourself walking through a large trade exhibition during a busy afternoon event. Fully awake and aware, your eyes are open as hundreds of visitors move through the exhibition hall. Bright displays stretch across the venue, beneath overhead lighting, while conversations rise and fall from every direction, all crisscrossing into your ears. Demonstration stands attract small crowds around you while yours remains silent. Promotion screens glow softly above the movement of the people walking back and forth between the aisles. You can get that smell of fresh coffee drifting from a nearby refreshment area, while rolling equipment cases quietly move across the exhibition floor. Nothing unusual yet. This familiar atmosphere of business, this opportunity and commercial activity unfolding throughout the venue. Now, focus your attention on one single exhibition stand, somewhere that you're going to see ahead of you. In your mind, eyes open, notice the people approaching it, the visitors slowing down as they pass, the small conversations beginning and ending around the displays, and how you get that movement of the hands towards the brochures, the brief pauses before the questions are answered thoughtfully. And as your attention settles more fully upon the active surrounding the stands, the wider exhibition becomes quieter, while the movement surrounding that location has become sharper, with more detail within the awareness. And now something unusual begins happening with the movement of people throughout the exhibition. Visitors appear to approach the stand from multiple directions at once. Groups merge together before separating again. One individual appears interested and begins walking towards the display before suddenly, right at that second, changes direction. All those fears realized. Another appears ready to leave before quietly returning several minutes later. Conversations begin and end, attention appears and disappears. Interest fades, then returns, and the environment becomes increasingly difficult to predict using your own simple assumptions alone. And that awareness begins shifting beyond first impressions into the movement unfolding beneath them. Now, as a salesperson, this exhibition hall feels larger now. The sounds of conversation stretch further throughout the venue. Those voices overlap from different directions, and movements appear across multiple aisles simultaneously. There's this glow of display screens reflecting across polished surfaces, while distant demonstrations draw brief pockets of attention before those people disperse again. Everywhere you notice, people are moving, stopping, observing, comparing, and deciding. And the more this information enters your mind, enters your awareness, the more your attention automatically expands wider across your environment. Your conscious mind immediately begins trying to track everyone, trying to determine who's genuinely interested, trying to identify potential opportunities, to calculate which conversations matter most to your business. You try to predict who might become your customer, yet your environment continues changing faster than you can consciously analyze, comfortably follow. There's too many people, too many possibilities, too many interactions. See one visitor asking you details and questions before walking away. Another comes along, says very little, but remains standing near the display. Could that be your opportunity? A third appears uninterested while quietly returning again and again. The environment becomes too dynamic for simple, conscious categorization. And as a conscious analysis begins loosening its grip on your mind, your awareness starts moving outwards into the exhibition room itself, into that flow of visitors again, into the movement between those stands, the rhythm of those conversations unfolding throughout the hall. No longer completely your mind is centered internally but externally. And as that awareness constantly begins directing and interacting with your local environment, the movement, the behaviour, the time that's going on, the changes that you see occurring, while this happens, start to quieten down your internal voice, that commentary, so it just becomes quieter, and the activity unfolding around you will become less and less of a distraction. So I want you to just stop naming the people, recognizing the labels, making assumptions, categorizing, trying to come up with explanations. Simply what's recognized, what's present, the movement, the interest. Stop the hesitation, start to engage, become curious with those passing the stall around you. Don't withdraw. Recognition begins happening before you start to talk. And your environment makes sense without requiring any conscious internal explanation. That is going to ruin your sales. And your awareness remains connected directly to your behavioural information unfolding around you that you're now going to automatically deal with. And just as your mind begins trying to organise everything again, the exhibition floor becomes unpredictable once more. You can have a visitor appear at the stand beside you moments before you consciously notice them approaching. Several conversations begin towards commitment at the same time. Groups form unexpectedly. Attention shifts rapidly throughout the venue. People who appeared unimportant suddenly become highly engaged. People who appear interested quietly disappear. And that environment refuses to simply follow any expectations. Patterns continue changing, so your awareness deepens further into the movement itself. We just notice how recognition begins feeling different now. Without needing to consciously analyze every single interaction, you're going to begin recognizing interest before the questions fully form, because you're disassociating your mind, placing it externally into the environment around you whilst you're still fully conscious. And you're lowering that internal conscious voice so that you can start communicating with your subconscious mind directly to get quicker results. And you're going to begin to recognize that you no longer hesitate, you no longer pause for those objections. You recognize opportunities before they become obvious, and you allow your awareness to operate directly within the behavioral information all around you simply by calming your mind down so you can operate and use the maximum amount of skills you have for your business. Your prospect recognition begins emerging naturally from your observations. Now just allow the exhibition environment to just settle slightly around you in your mind whilst keeping part of your awareness externalized into the movement of everything around you. Mind's quieting, the visitors continue moving, but the opportunities keep appearing, disappearing as something remains completely different. Your awareness no longer depends entirely upon conscious analysis, assumptions, or internal evaluations. Your behavior recognition continues operating without language internally, while observations, awareness, and your communication mean that you recognize opportunities naturally throughout your environment. And you're going to continue through your future business situations. You're going to find yourself recognizing interest, engagement, when you hesitate, and opportunities are going to come to you before with less internal disruption. And it's that internal disruption that stops you from getting the sale. So, when you're ready, just take a few deep breaths in, allow your mind to settle down, and allow your conscious voice to come back into your mind. And if you want to work with me or find out more about Instinct Field Situational Awareness for sales, then message me a link or just put IFSA in the comments. Thanks. Don't forget, there's plenty of books out there on this that I can send you details on.